Hey everyone, good morning. Hoping or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I hope you're doing incredible. I'm rocking my orange shirt as usual, and now I'm ready to present this session that I call Measure What Matters. If you're not getting the results that you want in your practice, today is designed to tell you why and where in your practice that is happening. Does that sound like it could be helpful? If so, I love some love, type yep into the comments. And hey, if you have a colleague who you think might be interested in this topic, click on the share button and send it out to them. I'd really appreciate that. Before we get started, let me just quickly introduce myself. If I'm new to you, I'm Rod Burkert. And in one way, shape, or form, I've been doing business valuations since the mid-1980s. So yes, I am that old. But I've had a solo BV practice since 2000, and I know the challenges you all face. And so today, I help practitioners like you focus on the art and science of building, growing, and scaling your practice so that you can get more time, money, and freedom from it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let's do this. Okay. So as I said, today we're going to talk about measure what matters. Now, why is this important? I'm getting some feedback. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So you want your practice to grow and thrive, but you're not sure what to do first or next to make that happen. And that may be because you don't track metrics other than, say, hours or revenues that tell you what is or what's not working in your practice. I like to keep things simple. So there are three core practice activities that each one of us do. We market, which is creating awareness. We sell, which is converting prospects into clients. And then we deliver or convey our result. We want to make sure that we measure what matters in our three core practice activities, because these activities produce the end results that you're looking for, which I think is time, money, and freedom. Okay, so there's a problem here. And the problem is that we can't measure, we can't manage what's not measured. We know this. I have to tell you, when I started my BV practice, I didn't know about tracking metrics. Probably like you, the metric I tracked was revenue. And if I didn't hit a revenue target in a particular month, I had to go back and figure out why. All I knew was I didn't hit revenue, but why didn't I hit revenue? But we don't follow the advice that we give to business owners, the companies that we value, which is to create and track specific performance measures. As a result, we're flying by the seat of our pants. We don't know for sure what is or what's not working. At best, we may have a gut feel. As a result, we end up chasing shiny objects, many times without regard to seeing the results of the last shiny object that we chased, right? But in all of this, there is an opportunity. If we measure metrics, we can experiment and see what's working and not. We can actually test what we're doing to get the results that we want. And rather than having just a gut feel, we can have evidence-based data that supports the course that we're on with our key performance activities, which I'll define in a little bit, or abandon ship and try something different. The opportunity is also to troubleshoot the traffic lights. So of course you need to do more than just measure and record the metrics. You need to monitor them as well. And so I've created, or not created, but I've thought of this traffic light management system. If a metric is on track, it's a green light and you're good to go. If a metric is off for a month, let's call it a yellow light and something that you need to stay on top of. If a particular metric is a red light for a month or more, that's something that you need to address and correct. At the end of the day, the opportunity here is to hit your target. Whatever that target is for you, whatever makes you believe you have a successful practice, which is really all we want, which is what we're trying to do here. So we talked about why this is important. The next thing is, what do you need to know? Well, you want a few meaningful indicators of how your practice is performing. Now, ideally, these indicators would hit all three of your core practice activities: how you market, how you sell, how you deliver. I saw a recent tweet that said there should be no more than 3 indicators. I'm going to give you in just a second 29 that I've thought of. I'm sure the answer lies somewhere between those two extremes. One thing to think of: if you were traveling in an RV, and who the heck does that? But you could only receive one airdropped page of numbers indicating how your practice is performing, what would those numbers be? What would you need to track to make sure you're on track for what makes your practice successful? The next thing is, we need to realize that not all metrics are created equal. You want your revenue and profit to go up, but those are a result of the things you do or don't do. So for purposes of this discussion, we're going to talk about key performance indicators and key performance activities. What's the difference? Key performance indicators are results. They are a lagging measure. So for example, revenue. Revenue is not really reflecting an activity. It's an indicator of performance. Key performance activities are what I call lead measures. For example, making niche calls, writing articles, basically your marketing activities, but you'll see that in just a minute. The thought here is, if I do these indicators, if I do these activities, excuse me, I will get these results. Key performance activities lead to key performance indicators. So let me just back up. So the idea here is you need to separate the metrics in your practice that reflect activities and those that reflect indicators. All right. So the next thing is to schedule maintenance. We need to set aside time to monitor and review your numbers and make adjustments and course corrections as necessary. If you have a team, if you're in a firm, then you need to schedule time to meet with the people who are responsible for the numbers that you're tracking and monitoring. All right, how do we do it? I've got some suggestions here for key performance activities and indicators. Like I said, the total list is going to number 29. Now, not all of these are going to be appropriate for your practice, but I was trying to brainstorm and do a brain dump of what might apply to yours. So marketing metrics are the metrics you track to create awareness of who you are and what you do. Now, there is a negative connotation to the quote unquote sales funnel, but we do sort of need some kind of visual to reference what we're doing here. And so at the top of the funnel, we need to get leads into our marketing funnel. So this is marketing. Somewhere along here, we're going to convert them into prospects, convert prospects into clients. And down here, we're going to deliver our results. So if revenue is an ultimate outcome of this funnel and you want revenue to go up, well, then you need marketing activities that are going to help create awareness of who you are and what you do, so that that generates leads, so that you convert those leads from prospects into clients, deliver your report, and make money. So marketing metrics here that I've listed, there's 10. And again, they're not all appropriate for your practice. But what are the number of additions that you've made to your firm's mailing list? How many LinkedIn connection requests have you made? How many have been accepted? How many articles have you written, LinkedIn posts written, number of presentations given, number of videos made, number of podcasts that you've been on? And then if you're like me, you're probably going to have a rough idea of how many leads that you have at any given point in time. By the way, these metrics can be measured weekly or monthly, whatever cadence works for you. But again, if you're not getting the revenue or the chargeable hours that you want, the first place to look is, well, how many leads do I have in my funnel or in my pipeline, if that you like that term better? And so again, here are 10 activities that you can track that will tell you the size of your initial funnel. The next step is the sell metrics. Selling is converting prospects into clients. So how many conversations with prospects have you had in the last week or month? What is the number of previous clients that you've touched base with to remind them that, hey, you're still here and willing and able to serve them? What's the number of current referral sources that you touched base with in the last week or month? How many sales calls have you actually made? And I hate to call it a sales call, but let's call it what it really is. And you'll see in parentheses, I said with an AAR of each one. AAR is a military term and it stands for after action review. So one of the things you can do to critique your performance on a particular sales call is to have an after action review, either with yourself or your team. What could you have done better? What worked well? So on. Then out of those sales calls, you're going to write engagement letters. How many are in the pipeline? Then ultimately, how many of those engagement letters have been accepted? And finally, what's your win rate? Meaning engagement letters accepted divided by engagement letters written. What's your win rate? And an after action review on each one of those as well. If you wrote an engagement letter and it wasn't accepted, you want to know why. And that's the purpose of the after action review. If you wrote an engagement letter and it was accepted, well, what did you do well? How can you repeat that the next time? And that's what the purpose of that after action review is. The second to last set is the deliver metrics. And deliver is nothing more than conveying the results, however you do that in your practice. Most likely it's a report. So assume that's what it is. How many projects do you have in progress at any given time? Have you made weekly status updates to let a client know what the status of their project is? What percentage of your clients have you made those outreach calls with? Another thing that I hear people say quite frequently is they lose track of the status that a particular project is in. So what does time and project status mean? I'm not sure if you're familiar with the app Trello. But think of a Trello board where you're literally moving a card that has a client name on it from left to right across an imaginary board. It might start with information gathering, then financial analysis, then report writing, then waiting for the client to respond to the draft. I'm sort of making those up, but they have some real world applications. Ideally, your metrics would track, well, how long have we been waiting for information? Oftentimes we don't know, or we're trying to remember when we sent out our initial document request. A metric like this would tell you how many days you've been waiting for information. If you have a team, especially now with the remote teams, maybe you need to know how many days it's taken to write a report. Not that the person writing that report is bad and wrong if it's taking him or her a long time, but how do you streamline the report writing process to minimize the number of days in report writing? So then the number of projects that change status that week or that month, the number of projects that actually got completed, and the percentage of deadlines met. Obviously, if you get a reputation for not meeting deadlines, that's a problem. So you might want to track how accurate you are with meeting the deadlines that you promised clients. If I were generalizing, I'd say that all three of these pages here are key performance activities. If you do these activities, you'll get these results. What are those results? To me, they would be these overall metrics: revenue, margin percentage, number of billable hours, the utilization percentage, number of free days taken. I'm not a big fan of tracking hours, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't or can't be. But what indicates success in your practice? That's why revenue is number one here, because we probably all feel like we track revenue really closely. But I hope you can see that at the end of the day, revenue is just a result. And if you don't track the metrics that contribute to revenue, you'll never know how well you're doing, where you're doing badly or well, and why. So those are some suggestions. I wanted to give you some templates. Here's one for key performance activities, and I haven't filled it in because I don't know what activities you would think is important. I've just templated out 5 here. Like I said, I think you should have at least tracking something in your 3 core practice activities. You set a target and then monitor them week 1 or month 1, whatever your cadence is. And remember, again, this is a key performance activity, which is a lead measure. And then the second template is your indicator. And here I have templated in the 5 results that we talked about. So, you know, maybe margin percentage is not something that you want to track every week. Maybe that's a monthly indicator. But revenue, billable hours, utilization, number of free days, they can all be tracked on a weekly or monthly basis. I've got some resources for you. There's 3 books here. The first one is called The Road Less Stupid. And on the book cover, it says, it turns out that the key to getting rich and staying that way is to avoid doing stupid things. I don't need to do more smart things. I just need to make fewer dumb mistakes. And I do that with numbers. The 3 Signs of a Miserable Job is related as a fable. And in the fable, the main character discovers the 3 universal causes of anguish and frustration at work and what's the key to overcoming. And it turns out that one of the keys is lack of measurement of metrics. The last book is Profit First by Michael Malkiewicz. And, you know, our conventional accounting is sales minus expenses equals profit. Michael suggests a counterintuitive approach, which is sales minus the profit, which is essentially the salary you need to live on, equals the expenses that you can reinvest back into your practice. So those are three resources. Just a reminder here that it's great to have great ideas, but if we don't implement those great ideas, our practice is not going to change. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, you can insert them into the comments. Like, what insights have you gotten out today? This was just supposed to be something really short. So let's wrap this up. Thanks for attending. I really appreciate your attention. I'll be back with more live training each month, so watch for that. I'm going to grab something to drink, maybe take Miles for a walk and get on with my day. I hope it's been useful. If you don't get my newsletter, please go to my website, rodburkert.com, and you can subscribe there. I also have, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, I have a Facebook group, a private group called Practice Builder Roundtable. It's where only motivated BVFLS practitioners come to talk about how to turn the practice that they have into the practice that they want. Last, if you'd like a copy of the frameworks that I used today, comment workbook below, and I will see that you get them. And if you want more help turning the practice that you have into the practice you want, please reach out and we can have a quick chat. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Again, I hope this has been useful. Cheers, everyone.